Recorded live with little or no editing. It's Defense Up. I'm Run 7. How you doing? Today we're going over Custy's defense. We grade on 5 different criteria. It's who you're using, their placement, their power levels, their ISOs, and what kind of mood I'm in. I'm having a great time here with chat. We're talking a lot in between takes and behind the scenes. So if you want to be a part of that conversation, then come to my Twitch stream every Tuesday and Thursdays at 9 a.m. on the West Coast. You can catch me, you can hang out, and there's a lot of stuff that even the YouTube viewers don't get to see. So team number 1 on Custy's defense is a Red Skull Hydra team. We were just talking about this. This is a fantastic defense to use at all levels, I think. It requires very minimal investment to become a stubborn, problematic team. I think this team right here warrants a little bit more investment. I think having all of your minions at a similar power level is the best way to go. Let's get some music playing while we're here. Having all your minions at a similar power level is the best way to go because if you're going in to remove charges by just smashing away at this team, you basically end up picking 1 or 2 people and just going back and forth and killing those people until the charges are gone. And these 2 guys are really weak and would die quite easily. I would probably come into this team with a junky punch down AoE kind of team that I'm not going to use anywhere else and just kind of throw it on auto and let them just AoE this team to pieces. Like maybe even like a Guardians or something with Rocket. Probably get through this pretty fast. Otherwise, you know, you have to use like a Black Bolt or a Kestrel or something, or a Surfer to strip charges, or some mechanic that handles it well. Of course, not this power level. This team's going to fold pretty easy. Also, I think that you should, at the very least, be having a level 1 ISO on everything you use in defense. It doesn't cost you anything to put level 1 ISO. Relatively speaking, it's nothing. So, level 1 ISO. For this team, personally, I kind of like building them up to like 250, 300, making them more ready, putting them all Fortifier, and then just, you know, it's just a frustrating thing people have to deal with. It's a very minimal investment. I'm hearing about a lot of people doing TCP boosting, taking up their entire roster up to Gear Tier 12, 6664, simply for the Blitz releases, to get more out of it, to be ready for these tricky unlock characters that they're putting out, these team reworks, being ready for it and stuff, because it's kind of a min-max level. Bringing them up to Gear Tier 12 gets you pretty much all the way there for a mythic unlock. I mean, yeah, you got to start using that gold gear, and no one wants to do the gold gear, or yellow gear, whatever you call it. No one wants to do that. So I honestly, I think, you know, Gear Tier 12, 6664 across the board with this team, at least level 1 ISO, if not making them war ready. It is a fantastic war defense team. It's very valuable. It's a minimum investment in this team, and what they have to come into it costs them a lot. I think everybody should be building this team. So, build them up. Who you're using is fine. Build them up. I'm going to give you a B for this. There's nothing wasted. The placement's fine. Doesn't matter too much. Is there Hydra Sniper in here? Is this Sniper? I think this is Sniper. Hydra Sniper's kind of a definite on this team. Guard is good. Scientist is good. And then I think this is Trooper. I kind of like having Grenadier on this team simply because you could use him elsewhere and with Zemo. And if you end up putting Zemo in on this team, you have Grenadier already kind of built up a little bit. But this is fine. Whatever. Moving on. Team number 2. Speaking of the Guardians of the Galaxy, this team is trash. Don't invest in them. Man, sucks that you took him to 3 ISO. I think that you should probably go to... Oh, this team sucks too much. Don't make them war ready. The investment to even this close, this team is just no good. It's too old. There is some talk about the Nowhere event and that we might have to be building up Star-Lord and Rocket. So maybe you could make those 2 war ready, but we don't know. So wait and see. If that Nowhere event comes out and these 2 are on it, I would suggest going ahead and you know, making them war ready at that point. There's a reason to. I think that's a Flash event. If it is a Flash event, you know, you've got time to build them up because you got to get to gear, you got to get to like 7. And there's other characters that are better in there. So maybe just making these war ready for that Flash event. Otherwise, don't touch this team. Your placement is okay, although I would take, no, your placement is terrible. I'm sorry, your placement is terrible. See, I don't use this team anymore. So you are going to go Drax to the outside, then Groot, then Antenna Ears. What is her name? What is her name? It just slips my mind. Whatever. Antenna ears. Then you go Rocket, and then you go Star-Lord to the outside. Star-Lord gives energy to his adjacent comrades. You want all that energy going to Rocket so that he does his AoE thing. This power level is nothing. This team is nothing. It's not worth investing in. It's really just a fill-it kind of team. I mean, honestly, you've kind of almost overinvested with what you've done here. I don't know when you started playing the game, but this might be a bit of a waste. Let's fix the placement for sure. Let's change the ISOs to... No, leave them. Change Groot to a skirmisher for sure. You could leave the rest of the ISOs on this build. If you're going to be using this three-piece, Rocket, Star-Lord, and Groot, with other people who aren't Guardians, then you go Striker, Striker, Skirmisher. But change Groot to a skirmisher, change your placement. The way it is, this is like a B-. It's nothing to get excited over. It's just a junk fill team. Team number 3, Doc Ock Sinister 6. Oh, wow. It's like you're building a ramp for the symbiotes to climb over Doc Ock. I don't like this team. You went kind of all healers on it, and that's a waste. Wow, this is a lot of waste here, a lot of waste. Okay, Mysterio is a striker. He is supposed to be a skirmisher. You can go Raider or Striker with him if you want. He's supposed to be a skirmisher or a Raider. He's supposed to be Raider. Doc Ock as a healer, 100%. This is a garbage team. This is easy symbiote food. They will ramp up and roll over this. You could go into it with the Axemen, any team like that. People are somehow still getting defensive victories with this team because they underestimate how powerful Dr. Octopus is. However, Doc Ock is kind of losing favor in my opinion. He's getting pretty old. I'm talking with a lot of people. They're starting to remove him from their tech raid team because of the way he works. Like, there's a lot of ability blocks in the tech raids, and it's just not working out. So they're starting to remove Doc Ock even from that team. For me, this is I'm going to go with a D on this. It starts out at a C, but you got really junk ISOs in here. So yeah, this is no good. I'd like to see you just replace Doc Ock with another OG member and then use Doc Ock on a hybrid is what you should be doing. Okay, team number 4 is the Uncanny XMen on defense. I don't like this team on defense. I like them on offense. Your Uncanny was not in a position where you should have built up magic. She should have been completely untouched on the bench. This team doesn't function until you get a lot of T4s, a lot of gear in them, and then you can use them to do things like punch across on the Mercs. Or yeah, actually you can punch up on the Mercs a little bit, and you can punch up on that Inhumans Coulson hybrid with Surfers. Sometimes we see that a lot. Sometimes, I don't know, it's coming off of defense a little bit now, especially since this team came out. But honestly, this team is not worth your investment. It takes too much to make them work. They aren't a good defensive team because you just go in and you kill magic real quick, and then like Kestrel takes out the other Phoenix, and it's just game over for this team. If you want to see how that plays out, Mobile Gamer just put out a war video showing exactly how you do it, and just rolls over this team with a Kestrel team. So yeah, I don't like this. I think it's a total waste. You don't even have ISOs on Storm, and she's kind of the backbone of this team. As for the ISOs that you're using, doesn't really matter on Phoenix, although I do prefer her as a skirmisher. Doesn't Raider or Striker on Cyclops. Colossus as a skirmisher if you have him built up, a fortifier while you're waiting to build him up. She is a striker, so that's good. And then Storm is going to be a Raider, is my choice. A lot of people like to put her as a skirmisher for the resistance check, the focus and stuff. I don't like that. There's a case to be made for it. It's fine if you do. I wouldn't dock you for it, but I like Raider personally. I think that you should just bench this team for right now. I think you should use Phoenix on a different team. Like, you could use Phoenix with your X Factor. She'll soak up all the blinds when you go into Brotherhood teams, those Brotherhood Doom teams that are so common. She'll soak up all the blinds and just be a powerful member of that team. So yeah, get rid of this team. Use something else. Quit investing in magic. You're too far away. This team just requires way too much. I think you haven't wasted anything because on down the line you can do that, but this is such a subpar team to be building. Very few people should be building this. I'm in a very unique situation where I could build a team. I don't think anybody else should. So for me, this is kind of a B-, I guess. I hate to give you a bad grade because I do like the team and I built the team, but I just think that they're not worth the investment, and you're a long ways off from this team being ready to go into war on either offense or defense. Team number 5 is a Mercs team. You got pretty decent power levels. I think your lieutenant is going to leave you wide open to an X-Force attack. You got Skirmisher on Taskmaster and no strikers on the team. I don't like that. I don't know. The Mercs are so old. I'm having trouble telling people to change things and invest in them anymore. This is becoming more and more a fill it and forget it team. You know, here at Defense Up, things just change. They change pretty rapidly. And I'm on the cusp of just telling people, don't bother. Just fill it. Leave it where it is. I don't like what you've done here. I think it should be Skirmisher on Taskmaster, Striker on all the rest of the Mercs. Your placement sucks. You've got Lieutenant to the outside. He does adjacent healing. When people adjacent to him are attacked, he heals people. Something. Anyway, he needs to be in the middle. This guy has adjacent deflex that he gives out. So you're losing half the benefit of your Riot Guard. You're losing half the benefit of your Lieutenant. You put Shuri in the middle, which who cares? Shuri's the last one to die on this team like every time. Honestly, it should go Shuri, Taskmaster, Lieutenant, Riot Guard. No, I'm sorry. Shuri, Taskmaster, Riot Guard, Lieutenant, and then Killmonger is your placement. Do that. That doesn't cost you anything. I think that you should be making your mercenary strikers. I know that they don't attack every turn. It is unfortunate, but the value is still there, especially if you have high red stars on a Taskmaster, especially if you have high red stars on a Killmonger. You don't. I don't know. It's your choice, man. If you want to change those ISOs, if you're flush with the green, then go for it. If not, just change the placement. For me, this is a C. I don't like what you're doing here. Team number 6, Wave 1 Avengers with a traditional build. You've got crappy placement. You got a big Thor. I like that. Wrong ISOs on almost everybody. Okay, we're going to go placement from right to left is going to be Hulk, Captain America, then Black Widow, then Thor, and then Hawkeye. Hawkeye needs to be a... I like Black Widow as a skirmisher because when you use her on the skilletary team, she gets lots of assists there and is better as a skirmisher. So I like her as a skirmisher. I like Hawkeye as a striker or a raider. He's got lots of AoE stuff, and putting up more vulnerables always is a nice thing. We don't know where they're going to go on their team, so if he gets a West Coast Avengers team, it might be all changed, all different. We thought that KDB was going to go to the West Coast Avengers, but she's not. She's going to go to Young Avengers, we think. I mean, that still could be somebody else. I don't know. Anyway, Thor is a raider, 100% there, I believe. So yeah, change the placement for sure. The ISOs, these guys, healer is fine. But I think we should go skirmisher and striker for this team. And definitely do that placement change. Give you a B for the team. B minus. I really don't. You just want healers, man. When you see teams that are all healers, for me, I look at it and I go, this person doesn't understand ISO 8 at all. So they're just going with a safe build of healer across the board, which turns out it's actually a really terrible thing to do. Like using healers across the board, just, it doesn't work as well as you think it would. Healer's not a very powerful ISO 8 and should only be used on people that have healing like Shuri. So I'm gonna go B minus on this. Let's get a placement change. Let's change those 2-3 ISOs, see what happens. This team is worth making war ready. This team is worth scaling up a bit. They're old, but they do scale well. Like they start getting some DVs at the high levels and they can be a frustrating team. All right, team number 7, Emmarauders. We replace Sabretooth with Ghost. That's okay. Your Strife is not big enough for this team. A thing you could do here is maybe replace Ghost and Strife with Toad and Blob. Toad and Blob on this team would then give out some deflex that could be shared. It would give you somebody who taunts right off the bat because Toad would give the taunt to Blob. You would have 2 Brotherhood members on it, giving Blob a reason to counterattack a decent amount of times. Could cause some problems and be a more frustrating team. I don't know where your Brotherhood is at. This Strife is pathetic. He's going to fold real easy. You know, like a 400 Shadowlands is going to roll over this team. So let's invest in Strife or change who you're using. Mystique, stop at gear tier 12. She doesn't need to go any higher than that. I do like her as a level 5 skirmisher, so she's copying, clearing, stealing, whatever she does with her positive effects. I don't know. She jumps around and does things with Sinister. Ghost on this team is okay, but there's not a lot of negative effects that are being extended with Ghost's thing. And honestly, I don't think Ghost's ultimate really times out well with anybody's negative effects. Maybe on like that new Warriors, she might be able to extend some negative effects, depending on who else you're using and the speed of the team. All in all, this is okay. You got Striker, Healer, Skirmisher, Fortifier. I like those ISOs. The placement is pretty good. I tend to put Emma next to Strife because she can absorb some of the damage and heal right back up from it. And that way the deflects or evades or whatever that Mystique gets, she can share those with Sinister. But having her invisible when people want to try and chain attack off of Strife, that's okay. I kind of like her in the middle. A lot of times I'm disrupting Strife with the Shadowlands, and then I just pick an end to start out from with Daredevil, and he just chains all the way through. So if you put her in the middle, Daredevil's only hitting 2 people no matter which way you start from. So I would kind of like, I'd swap that placement change. I would invest a little bit more in Strife. Go ahead and take him to 13, 14 for this defense. Although this defense is old, man, it's old. A lot of us are breaking it up and just using the pieces elsewhere. We're using Emma with Eternals. Sinister is going well on like a Brotherhood defense. Ghost is a plug and play character all over the place. Mystique kind of goes in the trash. Yeah, so it's your choice. You could either invest in this team a little bit or you could break it up. Either way, I think it's a B-. No, it's just a solid B for me. You're not really doing anything wrong here. Just, again, old team, kind of boring. Team number 8. Okay, here's what you do. If you don't have enough to make a defense, you take one big, stubborn player and you stick him in there, like Sue Storm as a healer, right? People might not know how to go after Sue Storm. Personally, I'd like to see you take Sue Storm and put her on the side and then take a damage dealer of some sort and put them on the other side. And that would really complicate things because now you've got Sue keeping your damage dealer alive with a really wonky power level, and you could catch some people off guard. But this is okay. It's not at all wasteful. Sue Storm is a good character, although, I mean, nobody else should be building her this high. She's just not useful enough to warrant that kind of investment. For me, she's a gear tier 14 on her team at the most. Most people, I just say, take her to gear tier 12, stop there. We'll see what happens in the future. I'm gonna give you an A- for this team. I think you should throw in somebody else who deals some damage to go along with that, but you're not wasting anything, so it's okay. All right, team number 9. Again, we got the wonky thing. You're going with this healer person. Now, Minn-Erva isn't doing any damage, and she is, I almost spilt my soda there. She is a plug-and-play character who goes well on a lot of teams. You know, she'd fit in real well on this team in place of a Ghost because she'd add that extra heal effect. Strife would die and she'd revive him so you wouldn't have to build up Strife as much. So I think that's what you should do. I think you should trade places with her and Ghost and have a much better tricky team. That Ghost, like, we build the Pimtech team with Ghost being big, everybody else kind of sucking at low levels, and it's still a troll team that people have trouble getting through because Ghost causes problems. So for me, swap her with Ghost. I think you'd be doing a lot better. I'm gonna go with just a B for that. I don't think Minn-Erva's not gonna catch anybody off guard. Team number 10, heroes for hire at the back of your list. Let's see, we got Fortifier, Skirmisher, Raider, Healer, Striker. Those ISOs are good enough, but I would like you to move Shang-Chi as far away from Luke Cage as possible on this build. Once you get Shang-Chi to twice as powerful as the other members, once you get him up to 140k, once you get him 200k or whatever you're going to use him for in the other content, then you put him next to Luke Cage because he can absorb that damage without going under 50%, and it keeps charges on your other members and makes the team a little more tricky. I prefer Iron Fist as a skirmisher, but you're already there as a healer, so don't change him. Yeah, otherwise you're doing really good. I'm gonna say A-, just move him to the outside and I could give you an A for that team. All right, this has been Custy's defense. If you like what you saw, hit that like button. It really does help me out. I appreciate it. If you don't like what you saw, hit the thumbs down button because then I'll know, hey, this was a troublesome video and I can work on my content and make it better for you guys. All right, don't just have a good game, be good to yourselves and others too, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.